The world of One Piece can get pretty fantastical, but there's more of it that's based on reality than one might think. Today we're going to be going over several interesting connections between the world of One Piece and reality, including Gol D Roger's last words, so stick around. One Piece is obviously an anime about pirates, so there are a lot of characters who are named after famous pirates. One obvious example would be Marshall D. Teach, aka Blackbeard. He's based on the real Blackbeard, Edward Teach. The real Blackbeard was known for tying lit matches to his beard to make it look like it was on fire, which may be what the smoke-like tendrils of the Yami Yami no Mi are a reference to. Edward Newgate, aka Whitebeard, is also named after the real Edward Teach, but the other half of Whitebeard's name, Newgate, is based on Newgate Prison, an infamous but now closed prison in London. This prison once held the famous pirate William Kidd, who of course is the inspiration behind One Piece's Eustace Kidd. Speaking of prison, let's talk about Impel Down. It's based on two different depictions of hell. First, there's Naraka, the Buddhist version of the underworld. There are two different types of Narakas in Buddhism, 8 freezing cold ones and 8 blazing hot ones, similar to the hot and cold levels of Impel Down. The first layer of Impel Down is covered in spikes, which is similar to a layer of Buddhist hell that's said to be full of blade-covered trees. The other hell that Impel Down is based on is from Dante's Inferno, an Italian narrative poem from the 14th century. Dante's Inferno describes hell as having multiple layers, just like Impel Down, as well as the lowest layer being a frozen wasteland. The shape of Impel Down also resembles a mountain, which is similar to how Dante describes purgatory. While there are plenty of One Piece characters based on pirates, there are also several based on other historical figures. For example, we have Mad Monk Urge, one of the supernovas. He's modeled after Russian mystic and advisor to the Tsar, Grigory Rasputin. You probably know him from that one disco song. Uroge's super strength may also be a reference to how notoriously hard to kill the real Rasputin was. Allegedly, Rasputin was poisoned, shot, and drowned before actually dying. There are also several One Piece characters based on American gangsters, such as Capone Bege, who is modeled after the infamous Chicago kingpin Al Capone. Bege even shares his birthday of January 17th with the real Capone. He's not the only One Piece character based on a gangster either. Big Mom shares a lot of similarities with gangster Kate Barker, better known as Ma Barker. She apparently led a gang of criminals involving her sons, very similar to Big Mom's pirate crew. Coincidentally, Boney M, the same disco group that did the Rasputin song, also did one about Ma Barker. Moving on from characters, let's get back to some of One Piece's locations. Did you know that there are actual floating restaurants in real life similar to Baratier? The one we think looks most like Baratier is Jumbo Kingdom, a floating restaurant in Hong Kong. It was also the world's largest floating restaurant. However, you unfortunately can't eat at Jumbo Kingdom anymore. Sadly, in 2022, Jumbo Kingdom capsized and sank while being towed to a shipyard. Fortunately, nobody was injured or killed in the incident. Several locations in One Piece are heavily based on countries or cities. Some are fairly obvious, such as Wano, which is a clear stand-in for Edo-era Japan. Everything from the architecture to the landscape to the country's isolated nature make it pretty clear. We'll get back to Wano some more later. The beautiful city of Water 7 is also heavily based on somewhere real. In this case, it's Venice, Italy, which just like Water 7 is a city built around canals in the water. Of course, in real life, people in Venice travel around in boats and not on the backs of sea creatures. Dressrosa, meanwhile, takes plenty of inspiration from Spain, mostly when it comes to stuff like the architecture, which is based on Park Güell, a park in Barcelona known for its beautiful and unique buildings. There are also plenty of other touches, such as Viola being a flamenco dancer, or Don Quixote do Flamingo sharing his name with a famous Spanish novel. However, Dressrosa is also inspired by ancient Rome, with stuff like the Colosseum and gladiators. The architecture of Amazon Lily seems to be inspired by ancient China. In particular, the cliffside buildings on Amazon Lily look a lot like the Hangshan Hanging Temple in China. Amazon Lily being an island of all women might also be a reference to the popular 90s anime Ranma 1/2. In that series, there's a tribe of Chinese Amazons that one of the main characters, a girl named Shampoo, comes from. If there's one place in the world of One Piece that you'd think was totally made up, it'd be Zou. After all, it's an island on the back of a giant elephant. Well, not exactly. It has a few real-life inspirations. First is the painting by surrealist artist Salvador Dali titled The Elephants, featuring a pair of elephants with long spindly legs similar to Zanisha. Next is the idea of the world turtle and world elephant, an idea in Hindu mythology that the earth is on the back of 4 elephants and those elephants are standing on the back of a giant turtle. Finally, there's Elephant Rock in Iceland. It's a rock formation at sea that naturally resembles an elephant. There's also the desert kingdom Alabasta, which seems to have a lot in common with ancient Egypt. The biggest example might just be Crocodile's home, rain dinners. It looks like a combination of both the pyramids and the Great Sphinx. However, Rain Dinners is also a casino, which may make a reference to the Luxor, an Egypt-themed resort and casino in Las Vegas. On a less fun note, it also turns out the massive junkyard on Luffy's home island is also based on something from the real world. The One Piece world's Gray Terminal is based on a landfill in the Philippines called Smoky Mountain. Slums were built around the landfill, and many locals made a living off collecting recyclable materials. There's some good news though. The landfill was closed down in 1995, and efforts have been made to redevelop the area. If you think these are cool facts, keep watching because we've got more. So stay tuned, press the like button, smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on notifications. That way you'll never miss our videos. Aside from references to real locations, One Piece also likes to include allusions to history and mythology. For example, ever wonder about the weird ring of drums on Eneru's back? Well, he's actually modeled after Raijin, a Japanese thunder god depicted with similar drums on his back. A lot of folklore has influenced One Piece, even Luffy himself. Ever wonder what the monkey part of his name is about? Well, that comes from the Monkey King, Sun Wukong. He's the protagonist of the famous Chinese novel Journey to the West. Sun Wukong is something of a happy-go-lucky trickster figure, just like Luffy. Another famous shonen protagonist is also based on the Monkey King. That's right, it's Goku. Someone else from One Piece that's based on another person would be Kozuki Oden. He's based on Japanese folk hero Ishikawa Gomen. He was a bandit who gave the gold he stole to the poor, similar to the fictional Robin Hood. Gomen was also famous for his failed assassination attempt against a powerful daimyo named Toyotomi Hideyoshi, similar to Oden's own failed battle against Kaido. Not only that, but Gomen and his son were executed by being boiled alive. But Gomen was said to have held his son above his head while he boiled, just like what happened to Oden. Speaking of Wano shoguns, let's talk about Orochi for a moment. Both his name and devil fruit reference the mythical creature known as the Yamata no Orochi. It's a snake with 8 heads, just like the creature that Orochi is able to transform into. The whole plot of the Wano arc may just be one long reference to the folktale Momotaro. Momotaro is about a boy who defeats an evil ogre king with the help of a monkey, a pheasant, and a dog. Momonosuke is obviously standing in for Momotaro, with Luffy as the monkey, Yamato as the dog, and Marco as the pheasant. The island that the ogre king lives on in Momotaro is called Onigashima, the same as the one Kaido lives on. While we're talking about Kaido, his devil fruit is another folktale reference. According to legend, the carp that are able to swim up a waterfall to the top are transformed into dragons. And if you notice, Kaido's devil fruit is Uo Uo no Mi, model Seiryu, meaning fish fruit, model Azure Dragon. So if you were wondering why Kaido's fruit turns him into a dragon despite being called a fish fruit, well, now you know. Kaido's not the only one in the family like this either. That's right, Yamato is loosely based on the real-life figure Yamato Takeru, a prince whose life is surrounded in legend. A European equivalent would probably be something along the lines of King Arthur. In One Piece, the big club Yamato always carries around is called Takeru. Pretty cool, right? So remember Shandora, the big city in Skypiea that used to be covered in gold until Eneru took it for his arc? Well, it's one big homage to the mythical city of gold, El Dorado. When the Spanish were going around conquering South America, rumors began to spread of a giant city where everything was made of gold. Several expeditions were made, but nothing was found. Additionally, the Shandoran people of Skypiea are based on both various Native American tribes of the US and Canada, as well as various South and Central American cultures like the Mayans and Incas. The big thing that set off the plot of One Piece were Goldie Roger's famous last words. He told the world about his treasures and dared anyone out there adventurous enough to go find it. Well, believe it or not, something similar happened in real life. When French pirate Olivier Levasseur was executed, he tossed a piece of paper into the crowd and exclaimed, "Find my treasure, ye who may understand it." The paper was actually a mysterious cryptogram meant to lead to his hidden treasure that up to this day has never been solved. So who knows? The treasure of Olivier Levasseur may still be out there. Did you know that you can actually see the Straw Hats in real life? Well, kind of. Located throughout Japan's Kumamoto Prefecture, you can find several life-size bronze statues of all 10 Straw Hats. These were built to commemorate One Piece after Oda made a large donation to help reconstruct Kumamoto following a devastating earthquake. These statues definitely look cool and seem like a great place for One Piece fans to visit. Did any of these surprise you? Or do you know any that we missed? Be sure to let us know.